Call the meeting to order.
6:33.
This is a public hearing, which is required under chapter 59 of the town code of the town of Brunswick, which is known and referred to as the unsafe building structure, equipment, and site law of the town of Brunswick. As regards a certain wooden fence, approximately 9 feet 6 inches in height, located at 383 North Lake Avenue and owned by Barry M. Thompson. A resolution adopted on May 9th, 2022, this town board determined that the said fence is unsafe or may become unsafe, as those terms are used in chapter 59 of Brunswick Town Code, and directed that it be secured and repaired so as to make it safe and secure, or that it will be demolished and removed, all within the time frame specified in the said resolution, and a notice issued and served on Mr. Thompson in connection therewith. So since this is well, let me first say, maybe I'll call on our town clerk to read the notice of the public hearing and indicate how the public notice was provided.
Okay,
Mr. Lewis.
sure. Okay, notice of public hearing. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held before the town board of the town of Brunswick on May 26, 2022 at 6:30 PM at Brunswick Town Hall, located at 336 Town Office Road, Troy, New York, 12180, pursuant to section 59-6 of the Brunswick Town Code, to consider the matter of a structure located at 383 North Lake Avenue, which is Rensselaer County, tax map number 90.-2-1.11, owned by Barry M. Thompson, and the inspection reports issued in connection therewith, such structure having been determined by the town board of the town of Brunswick to be unsafe, and the securing repair of said structure having been ordered by the town board, all in accordance with chapter 59 of the code of the town of Brunswick, entitled Unsafe Buildings, Structures, Equipment, and Sites. A full copy of all proceedings of the town board in connection with this structure may be examined at the office of the town clerk, town of Brunswick, 336 Town Office Road, Troy, New York, 12180, during regular business hours. All those interested will be heard at said time and place. This is dated Brunswick, New York, May 10th, 2022. This was posted on our board, on our website, and published by the Eastwick Press.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I think at this point, I'll give Barry Thompson, the owner of the fence and the property in which it stands, the opportunity to address the board. Mr. Thompson?
I would just like to say, at this time, fence is complete, without multiple distractions from the finals. I won't go into detail, but it's complete to what town has asked for and my engineer. And that's about it.
When you say complete, you mean
Complete
secure and
is in-
safe?
Whatever the code town has asked of me to add to the structure, it's done. Or fence, I should say fence, not structure.
Okay.
Okay?
I would think at this point, property owner, Michael and Michelle Fennell, who reside at 117 Woodland Court, would want to address the board also.
We just got a few questions.
Yes, we wanted to know who is inspecting the structure, what happens if it fails, what was done to inspect as he repaired the structure, how is he treating, protecting the wood that is already up on the structure and in the metal brackets, all the wood that is up and already against the cross bracing and where the screws are in. So if he has to treat it, how will he treat that? The wood should have been treated when he first put it up. This structure has been up since June 2021. Then he braced the,
You had to come along against a
Right.
tree to straighten it out, because
so,
it wasn't level. I was just concerned if that might have caused any more damage to the posts that were already crooked, you know,
And,
it's just a concern.
and Barry keeps saying we are harassing him. It's not harassment if we have concerns, and engineers also find fault with this structure. When Mike said every section of the fence weighs close to 400 pounds, each individual section, Barry asked if Mike weighed it. He replied, no, I did the math on the wood and everything he used. And that's concerning to us, because shouldn't he have done that before he started this? And, when he.
With it being deemed as a structure, and, you guys looked at this paperwork that he has about coming down the easement for the fence, it's no longer a fence, I feel like it's a structure now. Because what he's gonna do is continue with this big 9.5-foot fence with 800-pound concrete barriers down the side of the house. And it seems to be a structure now, not a fence anymore. So that kind of doesn't seem right. And my other concern was, who carries the insurance on Barry while he's on my easement? We're just bringing anybody over there, it's just, like, if somebody gets hurt by dealing with this structure, like, isn't that on me? I mean, I don't know, like, who to talk to about that, but
Your attorney.
just getting it, yeah, all right. I was hoping maybe you guys, so that was pretty good attorneys on that.
Probably should have been in the, you should have, usually in those things, there's like an agreement of easement or something like that. It's usually like a separate thing. And it probably should have been done by your attorney. Well, listen, I'm not criticizing anybody here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the way I've seen it done is that there's usually some sort of an easement. And they are sometimes just in the deed, but other times there's like an actual agreement where everybody signs it.
Yeah. I never saw anything.
But you accepted the deed, which means,
No, I never saw that piece of paper you're gonna give me, sorry. I don't know how we did it. I would never agree to that. Not a warrant.
I guess I can't get into that.
Yeah,
But at the
It was
closing,
during COVID and stuff, nobody was
at the
meeting at
at
things.
the closing, you get the deed.
We didn't sit down and close it.
Yeah. But so, like, who would inspect the structure, I guess, is the question that we're asking.
Should have been Chuck, when they're pouring, you already inspected them, right?
I was over there a few times, yes, when they get over there took pictures. It's pretty basic, 54-inch tube full of concrete. The holder goes up to a certain point, there's a score on the holder, and that the concrete acts as an anchor. In effect, the connector is wet set into the concrete.
The posts, I mean, I brought it up to Chuck when I saw them, but they're all shaved down to fit in the brackets. I don't know if that's, what the engineer called for.
The brackets are designed for a planed piece of lumber. Mr. Thompson used rough cut. Rough cut is obviously wider than planed because a planed board is a rough cut board planed. You have to start with the extra material. So in the case of a 6x6 holder, the actual inset for the holder is 5 3/4 because the board is roughly 5 1/2. Depending upon water content of the board.
But you shaved up to the bracket, and then the rest is still there, you
Right,
didn't shave the whole
But
thing.
Because you had to fit it into the bracket. That was the point.
How's that gonna get treated with the ceiling?
Pour it in there, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
If you're up against a metal surface, I don't see where it's gonna be needing treating. You don't have contact with the water. There should be spacing off the bottom of the.
It's sitting on a concrete base, the water's gonna suck right up it, just like wood does.
There should be a gap there with the connector.
Doesn't need to be sealed, right?
Opinion.
Well, the town has passed a resolution declaring the structure to be unsafe.
Right.
Or that it might become unsafe in the future. So I think what we need to do is the town, the building department needs to go out there and inspect it and get all the information that's available regarding the way it was constructed. And I think the engineer that we've had working on this, Mr. Bonesteel, should be involved in that, and that we should get reports from the building department and
That's
the,
kind of what I'm thinking.
the building department and our consulting engineer, before moving forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. At this point, since it's a public hearing, we have anybody else from the public, any comments? Hearing none, town board, anybody have any questions here?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Andy, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, use the microphone.
Maybe we'll just note for the record too, that one comment regarding fence versus structure. It should just be noted for the record that what the town board did in adopting a resolution, the order and the notice, deeming this to be a structure, is you were applying those terms as defined in the Brunswick zoning law. Any issue as between private parties as to fence structure is and remains a private legal issue between the parties. Actually, the town board was in applying those terms as defined in the Brunswick zoning law.
Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Leave it.
Okay,
No, I took it. No, keep it going.
6:40.
You can start the special meeting till 7:00.
Yeah, was it 7 o'clock?
One never knows, right?
You never can tell.
You don't,
You might turn off the mic soon.
yeah, you don't pause that.
No. Just or sooner.
So you can schedule an inspection.
Yeah, we'll get, people can just watch that.
Yeah, it just. Yeah.
It is, it really has, it really has.
Okay.
It really, I mean, it's, but now all they're doing is they're making sure that the more reports generated and, you know, final determination is gonna make it, okay, this is exactly where we stand. Yeah, they'll just have me look at the report. Chuck Higgins engineer,
He can do nice work.
and,
Biggest problem I have with that.
a couple of those things, like
Some of that went to the plateau.
the business about treating it. I know what they're saying, it's what they are, they're metal.
I don't want to sit here for one.
Right. Sockets.
Then I have-
Concrete.
Yeah.
You know, the both sides, you take a treated post, it's gonna seep as far as the water bleeds. So
That's
that's
the
the
way
way that they
you
should
get
go.
the parts, you know that you know,
That's with the
Yeah.
horizontal tubes, right?
Are you working tomorrow morning?
Right,
when you got everything ready to go.
The metal part is set right there. Concrete.
right, as it should, as it should be.
So,
So if you have $500. Expensive, nobody at all.
they're like 9.
You don't have to see.
You know, it's a good idea if it's just pine.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine, but if it's something else, it's like,
Around tomorrow morning?
use that or let's do it, it's naturally.
Hey, you know,
Not red.
Second guessing.
Redwood's just fucking- Oh, good lord.
Oh,
Here, up here.
That's a true.
So nice to meet you.
Was it up?
I'll think about
we use it a lot.
Not
We,
trying.
yeah.
I'm not trying to think about it.
Oh, man,
Didn't even buy it.
no, because I use it
I use
sometimes,
it all the time too.
right? Because it's affordable, but it's strong. It's a harder
I
one.
don't like driving.
Yeah, but not.
Yeah, but not the mic. The sound is on.
We don't know how to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah, it's too touchy of a system. to chance it, right?
We'll have to figure it out. We'll play with it someday and see how it works.
Look, you could only see my hand.
Because there should be a pause, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you can end it and up on the top and say start new stream and you can say yes.
Right.
But
That's what I thought
it's
you
a
would
new
do.
stream, so you'd have to like go back and rename it and all that. You just think,
And
I
that's
don't know for sure.
technically probably what it should be, because this is one
Yeah,
part
well,
of the meeting.
I named it public hearing and special meeting.
Oh, okay, well then that's taken care of. Oh, he said the mic is there.
Shouldn't be.
It's off here. No, it's off.
Still coming through? Really? Huh.
So I run right over there.
Hurry and wait, hurry and wait.
Billy, right?
I just unmuted.
Yep, you'll have to turn it back on.
You have to,
Back on.
Back on? Okay.
All right. This is a special meeting I called
Mhm.
for two purposes only. I'll ask the town clerk to read a notice of special meeting and indicate how the public notice was provided.
Okay.
Mr. Lewis?
Certainly. Notice of special meeting. Notice is hereby given that upon the call of the supervisor, a special meeting of the town board of the town of Brunswick will be held on Thursday, May 26, 2022, commencing at 7 p.m. at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, in the town of Brunswick, New York, for the following purposes. First, to consider such further actions, if any, as may be required in connection with proceedings heretofore commenced against Barry M. Thompson under and pursuant to Chapter 59 of the Town Code of the Town of Brunswick, also known as the Unsafe Buildings, Structures, Equipment, and Sites Law of the Town of Brunswick, concerning a certain fence owned by Barry Thompson and now being constructed on a lot located at 383 North Lake Avenue in the Town of Brunswick, and having heretofore been determined by the Town Board of the Town of Brunswick on May 9th, 2022, pursuant to Resolution Number 39 of 2022, to be unsafe or subject to becoming unsafe, and said town board having therein directed that the said fence be secured and repaired, and if not secured and repaired, that it be removed from the premises. All is contemplated under the pursuant to the said Chapter 59 of the Town Code of the Town of Brunswick. And second, to consider the introduction before the town board of an introductory local law repealing and replacing Chapter 160 of the Town Code of the Town of Brunswick, known and cited as the zoning law of the Town of Brunswick, so as to effect substantial amendments and modifications to the current zoning law text and current zoning map adopted in June 2017, and the scheduling of the required public hearing thereon. This was dated May 12th, 2022, Brunswick, New York. This was posted on the website, on the bulletin board, and published in the Eastwood Press.
Was it published, Bill, or was
Yeah.
it just sent?
Oh, I'm sorry, it was not published, it was just, they were made aware of, as required.
Notice was sent to to our official newspaper.
Correct. Yes, it was.
All right, well, we're going to start with the issue of the introduction of the proposed local law to make amendments and modifications to the town zoning law and map, which was adopted in 2017. As you know, this town board adopted a moratorium on the construction of multi-family and two-family dwellings in the town in March 2021, which has been extended and currently remains in effect. To give the town an opportunity to study and consider whether its zoning regulations pertaining to these specific types of construction needed to be updated, and if so, in what way. That review has been completed. Concurrent with that review, the town also considered other aspects and provisions of the 2017 zoning law and map, which were deemed worthy of further review after some 5 years of their applications in the field. That review has also been completed. As you know, 1 month ago, the town board held a special workshop meeting at which certain proposed changes to the 2017 zoning law and map were presented to the town board and the public by our zoning and our planning consultant. We are now at the point where the process to adopt the local law affecting the changes under consideration need to begin. At this point, I'll ask Mr. Gilchrist, one of our attorneys, to bring us up to date on where we stand in the process and how we move forward from here. Mr. Gilchrist?
So Supervisor Harrington gave a good recitation of where we are currently. So in front of, let me start by saying the June 2017 zoning law was adopted through a local law and then filed with the Department of State. In order to complete any amendments to that law, it does require another local law introduction and review process. Legally, you must amend the local law through introduction and consideration of another local law. The proposed zoning amendments to the text and the map, therefore, have been put into the form of a local law. One of the things in front of you this evening is proposed introductory local law number 4. This is the vehicle by which the proposed amendments to the zoning text and map would be considered and the review process would be commenced. Generally, the procedure will be one member of the board would introduce the law, and then likewise in front of you is a proposed resolution to start the review process, and I can step through that in a moment. Now, that action in terms of amending the zoning law is also subject to environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. So what I also have this evening as prepared principally by the town's planning consultant is a full environmental assessment form. That would likewise be on file with the town and be reviewed and considered in conjunction with proposed zoning amendments. I do have this this evening in the event the local law is introduced. I'll simply include that in the record and have the supervisor execute part 1 of the full EAF. Once the local law, presuming it is introduced and then the resolution is considered, the resolution would do a number of things in front of the board. First, because the town board is the only involved agency under SEQR, under the State Environmental Quality Review Act for this action, you are legally entitled to declare yourselves the lead agency in conducting environmental review of the proposed zoning amendments. That would be the first action in the resolution. When amending a zoning law, the law does require that the proposed amendments be forwarded to the county. Here in Rensselaer County, that's the county department, or the county Department of Economic Development and Planning, for review and recommendation. This was a requirement under the New York General Municipal Law. So the second thing the resolution would do is direct that the referral be made to the county planning department for review and recommendation. The board has in the past also referred proposed zoning amendments to your town planning board for like review and recommendation. The third thing that this would do is to indicate that you refer it to your town planning board for review and recommendation. And then what this would do is, if the board is inclined to do it this evening, is identify a date and time to hold a public hearing on the proposed amendments. One of the procedural requirements when considering local law is a mandatory public hearing. And so that's one of the things that the board can consider tonight, is identifying the date and time and location for that public hearing on the proposed amendments. And that's everything that's in the resolution. Any questions on the procedure? So the first order of business that the board is so inclined is a formal introduction of the local law. This is identified as introductory local law number 4 of 2022, a local law adopting the town of Brunswick zoning law. Why it's entitled that way is there's a requirement when making amendments to laws and filing with the Department of State. The Department of State will not allow what is identified as a red line or a corrected version of law. It's got to be in final form. With the number of amendments that have been proposed currently, we felt, both Mr. Chalke and I, that it would be much easier in terms of a local law process not to have a series of identified amendments per section. It would be multiple changes of just identified amendments, rather than having one self-contained law that the building department and the public could rely on. So the most effective way we thought to do this was simply a full repeal of the prior adopted law and adoption of the full text of the local law. But understand, the only changes are the ones which were identified last month at your workshop meeting. In order for the public to fully understand this, and quite frankly for the referral boards, the county and your town planning board, we've suggested that that red line version, the edits, also continue to be made available to the public and to the county and the town planning boards so that the focus can be identified as what the proposed changes are. But in terms of the local law itself, we felt it more appropriate to have the full law repealed and replaced. That way, the building department primarily, and as well as the public, then had one self-contained document to use going forward. So in front of you is proposed introductory local law number 4 of 2022, and it will add the full text, 140 plus minus pages, as part of the local law. So at this point, one member should consider introduction of the local law.
I would be willing to do that.
So we'll note for the record that Councilman Sullivan has formally introduced local law, introductory local law number 4 of 2022. Now that it's been introduced, the board can consider the resolution. I will note for the record again that a full, part 1 of the full environmental assessment form has been completed by the town's planning consultant, Converge Planning. At this point, I will ask the supervisor to execute part 1 of the EAF at page 13 of 13. So we will note for the record that introductory local law number 4 of 2022 has been formally introduced by Councilman Sullivan. There is an executed part 1 of the full environmental assessment form now of record. And now for consideration is the resolution, which again notes that the proposed zoning amendments have been introduced through a formal local law. And the first order of business would be that Brunswick declares, it's the town board, the town of Brunswick declares itself lead agency for the environmental impact review, directs that the proposed local law zoning amendments be referred to the county planning department, that the proposed zoning law amendments be referred to the town planning board for review and recommendation. And the last thing to consider in the resolution is date and time of the public hearing on the local law. And I'll leave that for discussion amongst the board.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And that should be discussed first, and that can be included in the resolution.
I have a question, Andy.
Yes.
As we head down this road, is there any point where any time constraints or shot clock type of thing ever come into play?
No.
No requirements. Okay. Thank you.
Well, I stand corrected. Once the review process starts, at the county level, there's a 30-day period for review and recommendation. We usually work with the county on that. I know our planning consultants work. No particular timeframes for the town planning board review. And then once your public hearing is held and closed, I'm not aware of any particular timeframes on the municipal home rule law under which that has to be acted upon.
I don't think so.
I don't think there is. So there's no concern about closing the public hearing and having to act in this period of time.
Should we wait until after the county provides comments before we have the public hearing?
I can tell you my experience has been a lot of municipalities will do that because the board wants the comments from the county, and in this case also from the town planning board, so that those are likewise available for the board's consideration as well as the public's. So, but there's no requirement to do that, right? No legal requirement.
So what you're saying, you can't set a date at this point?
No, I think you could set a date, just make it far enough out that you have time to get the comments back from the planning and the county. That way the public's aware of what was.
So we're looking at July, right?
Yeah, it'll be July, because
That'd be a change in
June.
July. The next thing for the board to consider is you may need a period of time for the public hearing and getting the proposed amendments, and whether you want to do this at a regular meeting or call for a special meeting just for the purpose of conducting the public hearing.
I'm thinking a special meeting. I was also gonna mention that too. That maybe a special meeting that way, in case you need more than an hour, say, even if we set the hearing for 6 the night of our meeting. You know, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. You got whatever time you got.
a special meeting before the public hearing?
No, before the public hearing, not on our meeting night.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not, don't do it on the night of the regular meeting.
That's right.
Right.
It's 30 days from when it's filed, they have to get back. to
Well, it's, after it's been formally reviewed, as a practical matter, could it go tomorrow? It might, but the better approach is to say it's gonna go certainly by next Tuesday or Wednesday, to use June 1 as that date. Basically, it'll be at the county for at least the month of June. And so, Jim, you're correct, you're into July. If you wanted to wait to get back to the county, you're
Maybe
into
the week
July.
after July 4th week, that would do it. No, that week after July 4th weekend.
And I will also note for your consideration that the town planning board will have 2 meetings in June. It should have adequate time to have this discussed initially at next Thursday evening's planning board meeting, June 2nd. Give that to the board members for consideration. It can be put on the second meeting in June for further deliberation by the board, and they should be ready with their, I would think, recommendations no later than their first meeting in July.
Planning and zoning are pretty busy this time of year. You know, this is gonna be another pretty big task for them.
Well, they have, our meeting is July 14th. Planning has a meeting on July 7th, the week before. So maybe shoot for Tuesday, July 12th. That's after their meeting, before our town board meeting.
One of some music stuff.
Oh, yeah, is
Yeah,
that one of the concerts?
Concert night.
Oh, yeah.
Could do, could do Wednesday.
Wednesday's probably gonna be the day.
Court night.
Oh, that's court night, that's court night.
How about Monday, the 11th?
Monday work.
Yeah.
It's always tough to do everything in the summertime, but that's how things are falling, so.
How about Monday, July 11th at
6 o'clock.
What time?
7? 6:30, 7?
Ward, you okay with that?
I think we should attack it.
What time?
July
Nail down, nail
July
down.
11th to 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock's a little late, or,
Why don't we do that at 7 o'clock? Why don't we do it at 6?
well, keep talking.
Planning will have had 3 meetings by then.
That's correct.
Yeah, if they think there's gonna be an hour of
Somebody said they
public.
wanted it.
40?
I did it later because I know Mark's.
Oh, Monday's not, it wants to be earlier on Monday, that's fine.
Oh.
6:30? 6:30 is fine.
6:30, okay?
Okay, for the record, everybody agreed with that?
Yep.
Okay, that'd be Monday, July 11th at 6:30 PM here at Brunswick Town Hall, correct? Everyone agree?
Well, we need to do resolution 47, correct?
Correct?
Yep.
Everybody check, put the times in. All right, so for consideration, resolution number 47 of 2022. Resolution declaring secret lead agency directing referrals to introductory local law number 4 of the 2022 and scheduling public hearing. Wow. Sorry, little marble mouth there.
I'll offer it.
Okay. Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Balistrary, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call vote, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman, Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Balistrary.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
And Bill, I just noted,
Okay,
it should be corrected.
okay.
In the body of the resolution, it goes 1, 2, 4, 5. Let's correct those numbers. For
Uh-huh.
the record. It should be 3 and 4.
Uh-huh.
I apologize for that.
Okay, you got it.
It went through many eyes.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. No.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that will be fixed.
Thank you. All right, at this point, is there any other, get back to the constant fence issue? Do we need to take any other action at this point? Or, I think what we need now is
Yeah, I think we just want to reiterate that we do need a report from the building department and from our consulting engineer concerning the safety of the fence and its compliance with the engineering report, the engineering plan that was provided to the town by Mr. Thompson's engineer and approved by our engineer.
That's something we need, or could get a week or something?
We're scheduled to do a site visit tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
We're
what's that?
scheduled to do a site visit tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning, and the report will be shortly after that, I would assume.
Yes, concur with Wayne.
Yeah, Chuck's off next week, and I'm out of town the following week, so I'm gonna squeeze it in tomorrow. And, I can have a report by next week.
Next week sometime. Okay. All right, board?
Anything else, Andy? that-
At this point.
So we don't have any other business, correct?
Correct. We did the business that was noticed in the special meeting,
So I entertain a motion to close the special,
to adjourn.
to adjourn the special meeting.
Yep, I'll make it.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Industry. And there's gonna be another.
Actually, I did